Hey, it's Mr. Marshall at Stony Lane again. I'm coming to you today because I know that your class is just about to start reading nonfiction books, or maybe you've begun reading nonfiction books already. And I want to talk to you about some stuff that you should think about when you're reading nonfiction. One thing you need to know is that when little kids read nonfiction, they're kind of like, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what I'm going to learn. And they just kind of like read, and everything is equal, right? Um, but when you're older, like you are, you want to do some new kind of thinking. In fact, let me tell you what I think nonfiction should be like. In nonfiction books, whatever you're reading, you already know something about it, right? And your idea is to like learn stuff, but not just to learn anything. Your idea is to get an idea about what you're learning and kind of form a theory, sort of like when you read a fiction book. Okay. And, but to try to think of an idea that no one else in the world has ever had before. Okay. The other thing I want you to think about when you're reading nonfiction is that you kind of always have to be looking for something. You have to be thinking about something. And so I'm going to teach you about something called always questions. Always questions are questions that you can always ask when you're reading nonfiction. And the way you use an always question is to first think, what is the topic of my book? And then try to think of the question that goes with that topic. So let me show you what I mean. Here are some always questions. So if you're reading a book about animals, you can always ask yourself, how does it use its body to survive? Because any animal you're reading about, an octopus or an owl or a tiger, it always uses its body to survive. You can always ask, how does it get along with other animals? Maybe it eats other animals, or maybe it gets along with other animals, or maybe it's afraid of other animals. And how is it like or unlike other animals? Okay, that's always questions. Three things you can always ask yourself when you're reading about animals. If you're reading about a place, you can ask, how is this place like or unlike other places? Maybe like where you live or some other place that you know. If you're reading about technology or like inventions, you can think, how does it make life easier? Because all inventions are meant to make life easier. And so you can be thinking, how does this invention that I'm reading about make life easier? And the last one here says, famous people. What important thing did this famous person do? And what challenges did they overcome? Because all famous people have gone through some sort of challenge. Okay, so watch. What I'm going to do right now is I'm gonna grab a nonfiction book, and first I'm going to think of what the subject is, and then I'm going to think, does it fit one of these groups? And then if it does, I'm going to look at the questions that go with that group. Ready? So here we go. This is a book called A Pod of Whales. A Pod of Whales. Well, that definitely fits the group called animals, right? So let's think about what I'm going to think about when I'm reading about whales. How does it use its body to survive, right? How does it get along with other animals? So I'm going to be looking for that. How is it like or unlike other animals? Okay, so that's what my mind is going to be thinking about while I read this book. I'm not just going to be like looking around like, whoa, I wonder what's going to be in here, right? So here we go. Pod of whales. All right, so I'm opening up and it says life in water. Whales have several adaptations to help them live in water. They have smooth, hairless skin and a very streamlined shape that helps them move through the water. They have a thick layer of blubber underneath their skin that also keeps them from getting cold in the water. Blubber also helps whales float in the water. So wait a minute. Let's go on my questions. Did I learn about any of these things? I did. I learned about how the whale uses its body to survive. Did you see that? So I'm thinking the shape of the body, and that it's got no hair because hair would just like slow it down, right? And it has this thick layer of blubber, right? I guess that's like that fat that's under a whale's skin, and it keeps it from getting cold and helps it to float. So I'm going to jot some of these things down on my Post-it. So I'm going to write about blubber, and I'm going to write about how the blubber keeps it warm and helps it to float. I am just sketching or jotting. I'm not really writing in sentences. I'm not writing a paragraph for my teacher. I'm just jotting things down so I don't forget. Okay, and then I should be able to talk about it. Right? I think I could talk long about this because this is just a reminder to me about what I read. Right? Blubber helps keep a whale warm in the ocean because the water can get pretty cold, I guess, and it helps it to float so that it can move around. Right? Heavy land animals such as elephants, whoops, need strong bones to help support their weight. Even though whales are heavy, their bones are light, and the water they live in helps support their giant bodies. So now I'm going to go back to my questions. Yeah, I'm actually thinking of a couple of these questions, right? Its body, its bones are light so that it can swim around. And it's actually unlike other animals. Like it's like an elephant because it's huge, but its bones are different because an elephant's bones are really thick, but a whale's bones are thin. So I could like jot about that or talk to my partner. You see like what I'm doing? You see how I'm using these always questions to kind of think, like keep my mind going? All right, let's keep going a little bit more and see what else we find. Balleens. Balleens are a kind of whale that look like this. Look at that. So I know a little bit about this. I know that that's its name. But let's read a little bit and see if I can answer some of these questions. Okay. So when they find an area of food, baleen whales use different methods to catch it. It sounds like I'm going to learn about the body, and how it uses it to survive. Some, such as blue and humpback whales, swim at prey and take a mouthful. Their grooved throats can stretch to hold enough water to fill hundreds of bathtubs. Wow, that's huge. Closing their baleen, they push the water out of the sides of their mouth using their strong tongue and cheeks. They scrape off the food trapped in the baleen with their tongue and swallow it. A blue whale can swallow 4.4 tons of krill in one day. I have to draw that so that I can kind of see it. So I'm going to draw that. So I'm going to draw a baleen whale. Here it is. This is not beautiful artwork. This is just like a quick sketch. Here's the baleens. Those are those lines. They're like a comb, right? All right. And so I see like if I see that the water goes in its mouth with all the little krill inside, and then fills its mouth like right, and then kind of pushes the water out through it, and like I guess all the little krill gets stuck in there like in a comb. You see what I'm doing? You see how I'm using these always questions to kind of think my way through this text? That's something that you can do when you're reading a book about animals or any of these other topics, right? Just think about these questions, and they are going to help you to know what to think about so that you can have an idea that no one else in the world has ever had about your topic, even if you already know a lot about it. Okay? So try that out, and I'll see you again in another video.